Hello everybody and welcome to the Back 10 weekly prediction show. I'm your host Kyle Amor and with me Matt Shaw and our guest this week, former Salford prop Joe Bullock. Last week Hull KR all but confirmed their second title. They are now 6 points ahead with 5 games to go. Although the game it didn't really have the quality, it was sold on the Battle of the Brick Stadium. It didn't really have the quality. It was still an entertaining game, right? But it was. What do you read into that, Matt?
I thought defensively it was a quality game, but it wasn't with the ball. And there's some mitigation in the Hull had no Tyrone May. Wigan had no Bevan French, so you got 2 important players there. But yeah, I've not seen Wigan as bad with the ball. But Hull KR through the middle was so good, I thought. The pack.
The intensity of the game was high, wasn't it? I think like we talk about building towards playoff rugby now, and he said that there was times in that game where it had a playoff kind of feel to it. Obviously the skill let it down a little bit, and like both teams will probably be looking and thinking, how can we improve and get better? But that's the kind of benchmark now of intensity and level of like what the matches are going to be feeling like coming towards the end of the year.
How good is that Hull KR pack, Joe?
It's good, yeah. It's big, it's strong, it's aggressive, and they're difficult to play against. I think they've shown it all year. You've got to be on your absolute A game to kind of get over them, and they've got leaders all over the team. That's probably the big thing I'd say from Hull KR this year is they've got a pack full of leaders. And every one of them is probably could be a captain or a talker, and it makes a difference. And when you play against teams who are rebuilding and are trying to find those leaders in your squad. You're going to have those, a bit more difficulty. And I think Wigan probably have maybe not got the leaders in there at the right times at the moment. And, but they'll come good because they always do, and they'll always get someone back in.
Do you know what I think when I look at Hull KR and you mentioned that pack, right? And I don't want this to sound disrespectful, I really don't. But, before, if you were chasing a treble, they're on the way to doing the double. If you were a club chasing that and you brought in, you're probably more unfancied names, Dean Hadley, Sam Luckley, Kalepi Tanganoa, who wasn't wanted at Wakefield. It's what they've been able to do there is bloody brilliant, isn't it, really? You think about, the players that they've got in there, and they've sprinkled a little bit of, stars in there as well. They are difficult to play against, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they've all bought into a culture. I think the culture's been, Willie Peters has kind of set a precedence of how he wants that club to be run and how he wants his teams to play, and the players have come in, and that's a thing for him, as a coach, of how he's developed these players who probably aren't superstar players, but they've come into a team and putting big superstar performances. And he, I think there's a ridiculous start there about them scoring first in the first 10 minutes or 5 minutes of a game. That just shows that they come out like full on intensity, and they get ahead on the game, and straight away you're chasing as a team. And that's something that they've obviously got in them as how they want to start games and play games.
So Jared Wirra-Hargreaves, not even a penalty given, banned for 2 games, of course. So what do you make of that, Matt?
Yeah, I thought he should have been penalised, because going with your forearm's it's a bumper, isn't it? Essentially, but he catches him in the face. He can't. Yeah. I think there's a missed thing in the game at the moment where you get penalised for a lot of things defensively and banned for it for head knocks, etc. Like for how you defend, but attacking you don't get any penaliser for it. And there's a lot of players who. Like Sitter at Warrington, who knock people out with the way he runs in, and he said, and that's just as dangerous, and people use it to an advantage. And I think there's probably a missed thing in the game at the moment where players are probably using that now as a factor to try and get over somebody else.
Tyler Dupree in the derby last year hits Matty Lees, gets a yellow card. I'm struggling to see the difference. I can even think back to years ago. I think it was Liam Watts, Mickey McLaurin, red card.
The Liam Watts one was worse because that was elbow, wasn't it? But still, it was a forearm to the face at the weekend. So he should have been. And you're right. John Wilkin brought up Sam Lasoni with this as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
running style.
Yeah, they have like a certain running style. It's like if they're running you as hard as they are like that, you have to bar up and defend as hard. But if you get it wrong defensively, you're getting red card. You're going off. So that's where it's different. And I think when you got like Kyle will tell you, like when you've got a 115 kilogram bloke coming at you as fast and as powerful as they are, like one wrong thing defensively, you're getting knocked out. So that's where you go in harder and then you end up getting penalised for it. So I think there's something to look at in the game, but it's the big blokes, and sometimes you are going to get clattered, aren't you? It's just part of the game, I think.
Yeah, well, look, JWH stays on the field and Hull KR win the game, a game that I predicted, and the right score margin. Hey,
I can't moan about this, can I, after last week?
Yeah, well, I'll only mention it on here. I'm not like Matt, who'll let everybody know through social media. There is ways to win, Matt, and there is ways to lose. Look, so, we'll move into, before we go on that, actually, let's remind you at home of the leaderboard. Matt's on 7 points. I myself am on 5, and our guest has only registered a single point. So Joe, we've said this, the pressure's on. We have an expert in the middle every week, and they've yet to register 1 point.
And I'm
so
top.
far.
This is a bad endorsement for the guest, isn't it?
Yeah, but look, all right, then we'll start with this week's fixtures. The games, they just keep giving at this stage of the year. St Helens v Hull FC. Hull FC buoyant after that home win over the Lee Leopards. St Helens, of course, off the back of a 52 points to 4 drubbing at home to Huddersfield. Matt, which way do you see this going?
I'm going St Helens. I like what Hull FC are doing at the minute, but they won't have Price, they won't have Asiata again. I think that's just too much to play a Saints side that are absolutely flying at the minute. So it's a Saints win for me.
No, you're right, John Asiata. His first 40 minutes, Matt, he just showed how good and how important he is for John Cartwright's men. He was. I remember obviously playing against him in my time. So difficult to play against. He has good shape around him. He's got good skill, hasn't he, Joe? Look, if he's not available, which way do you see that? Or even with him available, if he was, which way do you see?
I think
going?
he's such a pivotal part for Hull. He's that link between the halfbacks in the middle. He creates that fluency for him, and with his little passes, little skills, and he just ties in defenders and creates the space out wide. Defensively, I think he's well renowned for how he defends. He's such a pivotal player for him in the middle, and he's going to be a big miss. But they've also got Price out, as you just said, who is he's got the X factor. He's got that game winning potential in him, and without him in the team and Asiata in the middle, kind of being that general, I think Saints are on a bit of form, and I think they're peaking a little bit at the moment. So I'm going to back Saints, I think, this week as well.
It's almost about who's the result, who's it most important for you? Saints are chasing the top 2. Hull FC are desperate and have got a bit of an uphill battle to get in that 6 over Wakefield. Look, I don't see past St Helens. I think Tristan Saylor, he's having an incredible sort of back half of the season. They're getting Jack Wellesby back. Yeah, I'm going to go with St Helens winning that one. Moving on, Lee, Salford. Well, Matt, first of all, are they going to play?
Yeah, I think this game will go ahead. There's an appetite to get it to go ahead because obviously for Lee it's a home game and revenue and so on and so forth. They will be able to get players this week. I think there's a few back from injury and suspension, and there's no reserve game fixture this week, I should say, which means clubs are going to be more generous in giving.
So are we not just going to be at a stage where Salford are going to play every away game but not at home?
I wouldn't go as far as that. I genuinely don't know. I can't tell you they'll play beyond this week, but I think they'll play this week. The problem is with what happened last week and them saying it was because the player safety in the end. It wasn't even player welfare, it was player safety because of the calibre of players they had. There's no saying it won't happen again. You can't say with certainty that there'll be players available to play for Salford every week because they're so dependent on
I think it
players.
shows just the situation of the fact that they pulled that game with. I think it's been pretty well reported of what the fans did in the protests that they played at the stadium, and I think that it's not a coincidence that game was called off at the weekend. I think there was a reason why maybe the ownership of the club didn't want that going ahead. So.
Does it not just get delayed until the next time they're at home?
Yeah, well, I think they should do. I think the fans should show their voice and show their how they feel about it, because they're the ones who are getting stung at the moment, aren't they? As it's their club that's crumbling away.
Well, they've been missold something, haven't they? They've been missold the season ticket. Now, look, obviously loyalty and everything, you support the team through thick and thin, but they've been let down.
They've been badly let down.
Yeah, and I think it's just it comes down to business in the fact that you think this game's going to go ahead this week because they're away and I remember I was still at the club when we weren't going to play against Leeds, and Leeds were on the phone straight away saying we're going to lose a lot of money. I think it was like £300,000 that they'd lose in revenue. So, like it comes down to business and comes down to money, and like, are we going to find that situation where these owners aren't going to say we're not playing our home games because we don't want these protests? We're going to play our away games so the league clubs can make their money. Yeah. And like that just but that makes a farce of the competition. And I think you're already now in a situation where Wakefield will be looking and thinking, we've lost 30 points on the points difference, which could be pivotal and be really important for the playoff scene at the end of the year. With not having to actually play the game, they'll get the points of.
48 nil it went down. Is that what it went down?
It hasn't been clarified yet, but it will.
Well, they could.
Yeah, but I think you're shortchanging Wakefield there from what we've seen.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what I mean. There's 30 points they've potentially left off the table there that they could have put on. So
he's hoping that doesn't have an impact come the end of the year, but you never know. It's rugby league after all, isn't it? So I think we're all comprehensively there saying that it's going to be a Lee win.
We don't need to discuss this.
No, we don't need to. So we'll move on. Catalan. Castleford, I mentioned there at the start that the games keep giving and giving at this stage of the year, but inevitably we are going to have some dead rubbers. This being one of them.
Battle for ninth.
Battle for ninth. There's always a story, isn't there?
I think it'll be. My big thing was the performance at Catalan and Warrington last week. Was that a Catalan up in their performances or Warrington not being as good as they should have been? If Catalan have found a bit of form from that game, we'll probably see a heavy Catalan victory. But
that's been them all year, Joe, really, hasn't it? I watched them against Huddersfield the week before, and Matt Frawley just kicked them to death. He started the field position, and Huddersfield were great. I thought they scored some nice tries actually, Catalan, against some ordinary edge defence from Warrington, has to be said. Joel Tompkins, when I spoke to him after the Huddersfield game, he said he was wanting to tap into the players' intrinsic motivators of why they play the game and finishing the season right and a bit of personal pride. Are they going to have enough to get over Castleford, who again that looks a bit of a troubled club at the moment?
I'm caught in a bit of two minds here because I remember saying I'll never tip Castleford again after they lost to Salford, and then they won the week after. But I was at their game against Leeds at the weekend, and I just cannot tip them to win.
No,
they were appalling. Catalans aren't good, but they weren't as bad as what Castleford.
Well, we started last week, and I was saying that usually in a West Yorkshire derby, Castleford find something and turn up and give it a game. It was far from that.
Didn't look like
it was passive. Bothered. It was lazy. It was non-committal whatsoever. Yeah. And then you get a scoreline against the Leeds side that's enjoying the rugby with a coach confirmed for next season. It's massive, really.
I'm going Catalan's win.
Yeah, Catalan for me as well.
Yeah, Catalan. I think they'll definitely have too much for him, and we'll just see if they've kind of built on that performance from last week against Warrington, won't we?
Well, talking of Warrington, Huddersfield-Warrington, which way does that one go? I'm going to go Warrington win. I think Warrington will... they've still got, Matt, whether you like it or not, mathematically, they're at that point now where it's almost trapdoor for them, isn't it? If they lose, they're gone.
You're at point of delusion if you think.
Well, listen,
have a chance of making the top six.
I tell you what,
you never know.
We may keep hold of that receipt, Matt Shaw. We may keep hold of that. I'm going to go Warrington. I think Warrington are going to do enough to beat Huddersfield at home.
I think so. I think they've got a few players. They've potentially got some players back. The players who got left out, and Toby King and Matt Duffy, will they come back into the team? From all accounts, I think they had a good game in the reserves, but their attitude and thing was positive. So will they come back in? And if they do come back in, they've got a point to prove, haven't they? And I think that could add that fire to the belly of them putting in a good performance. And whatever you say, they will be looking at that sixth spot, and they'll be aiming for it, and they'll be driving that. And Sam will be driving that, saying, "We want that spot, that sixth spot. We need to turn the performances on."
The Matt Duffy one's interesting, isn't it? Because I thought after a week, that's usually a kick up the arse for one of your senior, high-profile, high-paid players. To leave him out again. What did you read?
I was surprised, but we've kind of tapped into it, but not really, about the culture at Warrington this year, and it's been an ongoing talk, lingering all year. Sam himself said he missed a session. He said that other players had missed sessions too. Well, that to me rings alarm bells. But look, going back to the Dufty point, it paid off for him because they won, and then it puts more pressure on Matt Dufty to go and play reserves and take it seriously and do it. So I think that was a good decision in the end by Sam. They should beat Huddersfield, but they should have beat Huddersfield 2 months ago at home, and they got beat easy. So they're just so inconsistent. But I think I'll go with you, and I'll go Warrington win.
All right, so Warrington all round here on back 10. Before we get to the game of the week, we've got Wigan v Wakefield. This in itself is a juicy game. It's at Wigan. Wakefield, they are arguably in the driving seat to finish in the top 6. If they can knock Wigan off, I think it pretty much puts them there. Although there's still 5 games left, and we've already mentioned that they've got the 2 points off Salford. They'll get another 2 when they play them later on.
I'm pretty sure they've still got Catalan, Castleford, and Huddersfield to come as well.
I know, but when you look at Hull FC's fixtures, they've got Saints in there. They've got, I think they've got Leeds in there.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Wakefield have a really
Wakefield have a favourable run, don't they? So what I'm saying is, if they can knock Wigan off, and they've already beaten them this year, so it's not like it's not doable for them.
I just think Wigan will have a response to that last week as well. I think there'll be a big thing on this week and doing the right things, and like the way they were off in the skill and things like that, they'll nail it, and I think they'll be better. And do you say Bevan?
Bevan should be back this week.
It's I think it's all just shining on that, for them building their playoff run now, and making sure that they're hitting their form. So I think that starts this week for Wigan now, off the back of a loss.
Getting Bevan back though will naturally just boost everybody in and around. Yeah. They'll start believing again that he's here. We've got a chance. Whenever Bevan French plays, and you're in that game where it's 6-all or whatever it may be, and as long as he's out there, there's always a chance of you coming off the field with a win, isn't there? He is that big for them. So I'm gonna go Wigan win. I think Wigan get over Wakefield. Just want to get your thoughts on it, Matt. I wanted to touch on an ugly point from the game last week. Harry Smith.
Yeah, he didn't play well, did he?
Didn't play well. But again, that little. I can't even call it an altercation with Mikey Lewis. Look, you've worked with Matt Pete. Will he get pulled in? I
don't think Matt Pete like that. To be honest, I think it's not really.
It's not the Wigan way.
It's not his kind of style. No, I've seen people saying that was he doing it as to try and take the mick out of Mikey Lewis, because he does. I think he's prone to a bit of theatrical kind of behaviour, isn't he, when he plays? So I don't know whether it was like a bit of a.
I'm not so sure about that one. I think he was looking for a penalty.
He was rattled. He was rattled all game.
Maybe, yeah. I think it's creeping into the game a little bit, isn't it? Because I think, especially with head knocks and things, with like the way the game's going in that regards, I think anything where people can kind of win a penalty, and that's somewhere where people are trying to sneak one now, but. I don't think we should be seeing that. I think people should just kind of crack on with the game. But when you got 2 personalities like that who are firing at each other, and the 2 like fiery people, you are going to get them going, and they wind each other up, and I think you're just going to see people trying different things. So.
Harry Smith was rattled all game. He was running to the ref all the time, and I've never really seen him be like that. He just looked very petulant. Out of character. Don't know what brought that on, but I didn't think he had a good game either. I don't know if that contributed to it. The thing that's worried me more with Harry Smith recently is his defence. Don't think his defence has been great.
Just going to throw one in there before I get your prediction.
Yeah.
Could we be forgiven of reading anything into these 2 are going after this for an Ashes place?
Absolutely not. Of course, that was part of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a pressure on Harry Smith as well to be the leader in that Wigan team when they've probably not got the leaders. Like we said, we touched upon Hull KR with having a team full of leaders at the moment. Wigan are probably needing something to fire up on, and he's the main halfback, isn't he? So he's the person who's probably looking for, and I think people forget he's still quite a young lad. There's a lot of pressure coming from him to be a leader and him to probably looking forward into the Ashes as well. So it's always because the talk's all around Mikey Lewis, isn't it, at the moment? And I think Harry Smith will be thinking, you know what, I'm going to take that off you, take that away from you, and I'm going to grab my opportunity.
So Wigan, all round up there, Wigan on all three. So it brings us on to our game of the week, which is Leeds v Hull KR on Thursday night. Joe, how this works, you get 1 point for the correct team, 3 points for the correct margin, and 5 points if you give us the exact scoreline. So, if you can pull a rabbit out the hat, you'll certainly send the guests up that table.
Can we just pause for 1 minute and give you a round of applause? You've finally learned the score.
5 weeks
system.
in. Well, and I've remembered it. Don't forget. Sorry, don't worry. I'll forget next week. Right, okay. Leeds v Hull KR. Massive game. Another massive game. Leeds chasing that top two. Hull KR, if they win this one, it's another trophy in the bag, isn't it? You would feel.
It's already a trophy in the bag. I know what you're saying, but I feel like it is.
You're not giving me anything. I'm trying to say that Warrington have got a chance. I'm trying to say that OK haven't mathematically got it, but you're just blowing it out the water.
Let's call it for what it is. Let's call it for what it is. I really like both teams. I really like both of them. The two great teams. I'm edging towards Hull KR because you get Tyrone May back, and I think that's a big boost for them. But these two have had 2 humdinger battles already this year, and I'm absolutely predicting the same again. I think it'll be really, really tight. Hull KR pipped it at the end against the Rhinos at Headingley. Leeds made Hull KR pay for missing some chances at Craven Park.
It's Calabi Tangin. Yeah.
So it might be the decider for the year. It might not. Who knows? I'm just leaning towards Hull KR. I'm going to go... I'm going to go with the score I went last week for them to lose. I'm going to go 14-12 to lead to 14-12 to Hull KR.
I'm going to throw a spanner in the works. I'm going to go Leeds. I think Leeds are going to do him. I think it's a massive game for Leeds. I think they're the ones with a bit of momentum. Obviously, Hull KR have got momentum as well, but I think they're just going to have a little dip, and the Leeds are going to be there to take it away from him.
How important, Joe, was Brad Arthur pinning his colours to the mast of Leeds Rhinos and saying, I'm here for another year, to that group? How important is that?
I think he may have given some hints out earlier on, because he made that decision himself, because he said, he came on camera, didn't he, and was like, I'm going to tell everyone Monday, but he'll have already had that decision. But I think the way that they've been playing and the way that they've been building as a club, I think it's probably given him a thing of like, I'm erring on the side of staying here, fellas. Like, let's build something pretty special here, and let's look forward into the future, not just for the next couple of years, like for this year and what we can do now. And I think they're really building and really coming on well. And I do think Leeds, I think they're going to the team, bit of team in form at the moment, and they're going to go for a win.
So Leeds win. Give us your margin.
I think
by how many
10-6, but Hull KR score first.
Right. Well, if there was another point added for who's the first team to score a try, then maybe it's a bonus point for the guest this week if he gets that right.
Guest needs some points, I think. Yeah.
So Joe's scored a 4-point Leeds Rhinos win and a scoreline of 10-6. Look, I just think momentum's with Hull KR. I think they're on the cusp. They're reminding me very much of the beginning of that sort of dynasty that we had at St Helens, where we ran and won all them trophies. We got knocked out of the playoffs, then we lost the Challenge Cup. Then we just went after it and we didn't really let it go. So I think Hull KR, I think they're in that groove now. I think we're living in their time, in their moment. And I think that they are going to win this game by 20 points to 8.
Ooh, it's a bigger.
That's big.
Yeah, I think 20 points to 8. I think there'll be a couple of... I'm going for the bonus point now. A couple of penalties early on just to settle the nerves. And and then I think Hull KR will put the hammer down. Again, guys, at home, that was the game of the week, Leeds Rhinos v Hull KR. Do let us know in the comments below your score predictions, your margin, and the team that you think is going to win the game of the week. But that's another week wrapped up here on Back 10. Have a wonderful week, whatever you're doing. And from myself, Matt, and our guest, Joe Bullock, thanks for your time, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.